I just watched one of the most incredible interviews I've seen in a long time. And today I want to react to it with you. Now, we've been finding out how Obama, Hillary Clinton, and the CIA attempted to rig the 2016 election. When it didn't go their way, they tried to do a coup to remove Donald Trump. All of that is fact. We also know that they were engineering, manufacturing, and trying to rig the 2024 election. But nobody's talking about the 2020 election, not even Donald Trump. Well, today I want to go through how Venezuela and China and the CIA likely intervened through COVID and mail-in ballots to try to rig the election. Now, did you know that when President Trump met with Vladimir Putin yesterday, he privately told him, if you will investigate the mail-in ballots in America, you will find that the election was rigged. We've also been learning from FBI documentation that they knew that China had sent over hundreds of thousands of fake driver's licenses, as well as hundreds of thousands of fake ballots pre-filled out for Joseph Robinette Biden. Now, this interview is between billionaire Patrick Burns of Overstock and Alex Jones. I don't usually do this, but it's so good, I want to walk you through it. Now, I'll say one more thing and then we'll jump in. Patrick Burns was in private meetings with President Trump right up until the very last minute in the White House, talking about going after those that had rigged the election. Ultimately, Trump decided to pass the torch on to Biden. Now, they made everyone's life a living hell in the Trump administration, as well as those connected to January 6th. They went after Mike Lindell. They went after everybody, but they never went after Patrick Burns, which was so weird. The only guy in the White House meeting that was telling Trump the election was rigged is the only guy that Biden and the DOJ didn't go after. Let's go ahead and watch this together. I think you're going to find it as fascinating as I did.
Burns is a very interesting person. He's done U.S. intelligence and a lot of high-level stuff. He's also started in huge, successful, multi-billion-dollar companies. Dr. Patrick M. Byrne, Patrick Byrne on X, deepcapture.com, major films made about his work and his very intriguing life. And I'm not going to go over his lengthy
Please don't.
curriculum, but all the rest of it. He's here to talk about Venezuela and how it ties into the Democrat overall plan to steal elections and how it ties into the gerrymandering, the redistricting, Trump's election integrity task force. Of course, everything you exposed back when they stole the 2020 election has now been vindicated and has been proven correct. So it all ties together. And you've been hammering that Venezuela is the key hub, that the Chicoms with U.S. NGOs and Soros are doing all this. And now Doge, with its AI, has mapped all of this. You're also a big computer guy, and brought it forward. And now with Maduro, they've upped the bounty from 25 million to 50 million. So this, ladies and gentlemen, this is a huge story.
All right. Remember, about a week ago, I told you how out of nowhere they put a $50 million bounty on the president of Venezuela, Maduro. They also said that the United States does not recognize him as the president. And after digging in, they found out that he is actually the top leader of one of the worst cartels and gangs in South America. Not only does he control Tren de Aragua, the cocaine, the fentanyl, taking over all of the oil fields in Venezuela, making the people in poverty, he's also the head of the Mexican cartel. And these guys have been rigging the elections, and you're going to see how they worked with China and CIA in order to keep him in power. Now, I do want to say one thing. You're going to notice that billionaire Patrick Burns, his mouth is blue. He is getting enough oxygen. Alex Jones gave him methylene blue right before, and it dyed his mouth. So let's keep going.
And Patrick didn't predict this. He knew it from all of his research and sources and travels. But now we have Doge documents, and now we know why Trump's turning the heat up on the Venezuelan communist dictator Maduro. People that don't know, why do we care about Venezuela? It used to be the richest country in Latin America. It is one of the first or second largest oil producers potentially in the world. And so they're filthy rich, but the people are poor. They used to be rich. Now only the elites are rich. And they're a serious CHICOM satellite. China's making its big move in Latin America, Venezuela, and obviously Brazil are the key areas that they're trying to fully control. And so you've got this amazing AI map that you're about to exclusively present, thanks to the great work at Doge and you working with them and the great Elon Musk. Well, I wish he was still there. So, Patrick, thank you so much for being here. This is so massive. You can give us a 35,000-foot view and kind of a history lesson if you like first, and then get into this huge new story, or cut right to it.
Let's give you a quick history lesson. Venezuela, Americans need to start really learning about. It's not a passing story. It's going to be on our front page for a long time. 3 things you need to know about Venezuela. The government is the cartel. The cartel in Venezuela is called the Mafia of the Generalissimos, essentially the Cartel de los Soles, because the generals have a sun on their shoulder. So the Mafia is the government. The 4 Mexican cartels are like the junior partners. So they took over Venezuela, which has the largest oil reserves in the world, as you said. What are you going to do if you want to steal them, which they've done? They've looted, they nationalized the oil industry, and then so they could then loot $4 trillion, which they did. The other thing they did was they took over the election systems and created a computerized election system that they could always backdoor and never lose power. That computerized election system was brought to America and became a company called Smartmatic, and then infiltrated the world. 72 countries have used it and have manipulated elections. I know the people involved. I've spent the last 3 years overseas finding people involved in this. 72 nations have had their elections flipped. But the most damning thing, we thought, I've been telling you, I think previously on your shows, that the chain of command was Venezuela, Iran, and China. And it is true that in 2007, Venezuela opened the back doors into the American election system to China. And we have witnesses to all this. But what's really important, and we've only learned in the last few weeks, thanks to Elon's work with Doge, we found a whole bunch of funding. The CIA, the top floor of the CIA, is in cahoots with China. And if you put up the first graphic, not this one, that one, the first graphic, yes. No, the other one, I'm sorry. The other one, there's an NGO in Arlington, Virginia called CEPS. It stands for the Center for Election Progress and Political Systems or something. It's staffed by George Soros. It's been funded since 2009, since Obama came to power, by USAID, and we all know USAID is a front for the CIA. So
that's not even debated. They don't even hide that. So you got USA, the CIA front group, you got Open Society, Soros.
And then what they did was, their mission was to spend billions to help other countries modernize their elections, which means install Smartmatic. And if you go to the next page, you will see the next graphic. You'll see 26 nations that the CIA/USAID got this installed. You can put this up on your website. From Kenya to Belgium, United Kingdom, 70% of the votes counted in.
Yeah, guys, give this to Ben Warren or to Lewis, and then just have them tweet. Breaking exclusive: Doge investigation discovers CIA /USAID and Soros Open Society in command of CHICOM /Venezuelan election fraud control grid.
Yep, well said.
Okay, so George Soros and the CIA in China, they're taking all of this American taxpayer money and they're going to these countries and they're saying, let us, for free, upgrade your election systems. What they were really doing is allowing George Soros, USAID, China, and the CIA to control elections all around the world.
This crazy technology that we've been saying China was behind, the coup of 2020, yeah, they were. The system was involved. It was the top floor of the CIA, and the top floor of the CIA has, through funding and through George Soros' people, spreading this technology to 26 nations since July of 2009, 6 months after Obama comes in. And in each of these nations, 26 nations, we've researched, this technology gets installed and they start electing.
And by the way, just to stop, you're not a Smurf. You wanted more methylene blue, so you were just drinking some. Oh, you just took it straight out of the dropper.
How do you?
I put it in the water that way to make my.
Oh,
you're Papa Smurf now.
Oh, is it purple?
It looks good. Just drink some water.
Okay, well, I'll drink some water.
No, you're doing great. No, but I want to start over because this is so massive, and I knew you were coming here to break major Venezuela news in China, but this makes perfect sense. But let me you have the proof. So we're going to go into the next hour on this. Is so important. But I just want to stop people. Everybody needs to share the live feed right now. I knew you were coming in with the new Venezuela stuff and how there were the Democrats and fraud. I didn't know this till right before you went live. And then that's why I aired a promo so I could see this and look at this. Now I want to pull up during the break 3 weeks ago, the director of national intelligence, the Office of National Intelligence, she releases the report with communist China, the FBI knowing that they were manipulating computers in 2020 and shipping in the mail-in ballots that you reported on then. We have the whistleblowers. We have the Postal Service people that saw it. We have the Chinese nationals driving in, at 2 a.m. with the vans in Michigan, Pennsylvania, unloading. But you were always saying China, and you proved it. But now, of course, who set up Mao Zedong 49, the CIA? And now we learn from the Tulsi Gabbard documents 3 weeks ago that indeed it was the CIA working with China and to cover up the 2020 election theft and was working with them to do it. So you have this sick, evil globalist partnership of the CIA with the Chi-Coms going back to Mao Zedong and, David Rockefeller. Incredible. We'll be right back. All right.
Okay. So while they're at break, I want to just explain something. So the head of the CIA right now, John Ratcliffe, used to be in Tulsi Gabbard's position. He was the director of national intelligence over the 17 intelligence agencies of the United States. Well, he had a report that was due before January 6th. President Trump was pushing him. I need to know if the election was rigged or manipulated or influenced in any way. Everybody was looking for Russia, right? Well, that report ended up coming out and going public on January 7th. And what did that report say? That China had been influencing our election, that China was sending in ballots, that China was trying to rig things for Joe Biden. Did that get any attention? No. Only topic that was allowed to be talked about was January 6th. 24 hours a day, shaming Donald Trump, shaming the Patriots, shaming. Turns out the whole thing was the FBI and then the CIA. They were working behind the scenes to block everything, to distract everyone. Well, now because of Doge, USAID, digging into Soros, we're realizing that the CIA was using Soros and our own tax money to influence American elections. Let's keep going.
Folks, Patrick Byrne, has only until recently, it's come out. He didn't want to make a big deal, but worked in U.S. intelligence and for the Justice Department and a lot of high-level international espionage operations defending our country for decades. And he's worked internationally as well with other groups. And of course, he's a very successful man that's launched multi-billion-dollar companies. And he is here in studio with us now. He reached out and said, I'm in town. I've got big updates on Venezuela, on the Democrats and how they're stealing elections. It ties into everything. I said, please come in. Then he gets there and he says, oh, you're going to want to see these graphics that Doge just got. This hasn't broken yet. And this proves that it's not just communist China with Venezuela manipulating elections for the Democrats. It is the CIA and the Soros Open Society Foundation with U.S. aid, which is the CIA on record. Now, then I boom, top of my head blows off. And we were airing like a little 3-minute, promo. And I said, wait, we need to go get the stuff from 3 weeks ago where Gabbard released and confirmed the documents that in 2020, the communist Chinese were shipping in plane loads of ballots only marked for Biden for key battlegrounds. They got caught. Whistleblowers came forward. You reported at the time, but they never got in trouble. And that the FBI knew about it, and the FBI knew about it. Well, you're the expert to tell us. I'm just going from memory. The FBI knew about it, low level. They tried to stop it. They got told by higher up, shut it down. It's a joint CIA operation. Now, that's the director of the Office of National Intelligence. That's just one of the huge things that's broke the last month that got almost no attention. And that totally backs what he's saying now with this Doge document that we're breaking here, showing where the funding, everything comes from. So this is huge. And if you know the history of Communist China and Chiang Kai-shek in 49, they double-crossed. Congress sent weapons to help the nationalists, but the CIA, it's declassified, put Mao in power and then had this long, secret, sickening relationship and made them the most favored nation and all the rest of this. Now Trump is completely breaking with that and is cutting off China. And so this is all geopolitical. It all ties together. So Patrick, start over, but we should start here. Okay. This is why, and it's on record, we can pull up the Newsweek articles and others, Venezuela put a $25 million bounty out on you because they're so angry that you've reverse engineered all this. Now Maduro's got a $50 million bounty out on him by Trump. So you just walk through this and then go through the Doge exclusive documents. The CIA, under Biden and all the rest of this, working with the Chi-Coms of Venezuela to engage in this. And we have the Gabbard documents on top of it, backing it up even further. So Patrick Byrne, go ahead.
All right. So just to make this make more sense, remember how we were told that COVID was a natural virus that had jumped from bats into humans? And then it turned out that it was actually the United States taxpayer money through Dr. Fauci that funded this virus that killed millions of people with gain of function, right? Now we're finding out it's our own money that the CIA and George Soros are using to rig elections around the world and even right here in America.
Okay, first, yes, they have the bounty on me because you remember the Venezuelan election last July 28th that looked like the whole world said is nonsense, and they 17 Latin American states said we won't recognize it, Carter, all that stuff. Do you remember the out of hand?
Yes.
They think I hacked their election. And I'll tell you why they think I hacked their election. In a typical Venezuelan election, what happens is the dictator gets 2 million votes, the opposition gets 7 million votes, and then they stuff 5.5 million ballots. So they 7.5 million beat 7, and they win time and time and time again. 4 years ago, they introduced a new system. You have to give not just your ID, but your thumbprint when you vote in Venezuela. They say it's for security. What their system really does is it ties your ballot. When you're Venezuelan, you vote, it ties your ballot to your image, to your thumbprint. So they can look up how you voted, Alex, and go in and see how you voted and arrest the right people. Now that creates a problem. How do you stuff 5.5 million ballots when you don't have those 5.5 million thumbs? They have a secret tool that is in every precinct that their people use to, it generates the 9-digit code as if a valid thumb was put in it and opens the machine so it can take a ballot. And so that's how it works. So they have this secret tool, and that tool was working right up through Saturday, July 27th at midnight. But at 12:01, their secret cheating tool started spitting out random 9-digit numbers. They couldn't stuff. By noon, they went crazy because all over the country, they weren't able to stuff. Venezuela canceled all its normally they have TV, and as the votes roll in all day, they say, oh, what do you know? We just won by a hair again. This time they canceled all their television. They came out the next morning and we said, hey, we won 51-49, screw you. And
oh, wait a minute. Remember when all of those swing states shut down in America? And we went to bed with Trump winning them? In Pennsylvania, up 700,000 votes. And then suddenly, in the dead of night, Joe Biden gets, over 700,000 votes just for him.
They rounded up 2,000 protest leaders. And the whole world said, this is a garbage election. Well, 10 days later, when they opened up their secret cheating tool, they discovered something that made them think that I might know something about these facts, Alex. And they came to the conclusion that I think I did it. So that's why they put the $25 million bounty on me. Now, going forward, I have for 4 years been saying this all leads through Venezuela to the ultimate chairman of the board of this operation is China, of this whole system. Iran is the paymaster. They are the secret paymaster. So none of this shows up in bank wires the U.S. can see. But what we have learned going through Elon Musk's Doge data, we have some researchers put together just in 2 weeks ago what I opened the show telling you. In reality, this garbage technology has spread through the world, not just because of China, but because of the CIA. They have been, under the guise of modernizing elections, they've had the USAID fund and George Soros staff and Arlington, Virginia NGO called CEPS, which you should probably look up CEPS, what is CEPS, and that's CEPS. Its mission is to modernize elections by spreading Smartmatic. And all over the world, now if you pull up the next graphic, you will see, and Alex is putting this up online, you can see all the nations. We have been funded 26 nations, from the Philippines, to Bolivia, Estonia, everything, to put in Smartmatic.
And this is all breaking right now at Real Alex Jones on X.
No one knows this. We put this together too.
All right, sorry. Let me pause just for a minute. So the way that they're able to hide this is money going from Venezuela, influence of George Soros, China. They're all flowing through Iran, which covers the tracks of the banking. So, they say, follow the money trail, follow the paper trail. When it gets to Iran, it disappears. And wouldn't you know it, President Trump back in July said, Letitia James caught in her biggest scandal yet. Iran and China are circumventing sanctions because of Letitia James. So I'm telling you, we're living in a crazy, fraudulent system that people are finally starting to figure out.
2 weeks ago, the government has just received this data themselves.
So this has been posted at Real Alex Jones. The
CIA was behind this with China, not the top of the CIA. Mike Pompeo and his CIA was involved in the 2020 hack. The top of the CIA was, and that's why they're going ballistic. And they've been behind the spread of this technology through 26. And everywhere they put this technology, it started July 2009, which is 6 months after Obama came in, Obama and Brennan. Everywhere they put this technology, we've researched, they've had within a few years, they get some election where suddenly they elect an AOC or an Obama or some left-wing person that they never expected to elect. It's all been on this technology that you, the taxpayer, paid for this Arlington, Virginia CEPS to spread through the world.
Now, I've known you a long time. You interviewed probably the first time 6, 7 years ago, but everything you've talked about has been proven now.
You too. You're the greatest. It's amazing the stuff you said 25 years ago that's all come true.
But I mean, you're the guy on the ground. So the point is without getting into it all, you're a loyal American. You try to work with Democrats and Republicans, but you've been in intelligence a long time. That's not secret now. And so we're trying to loyally control the country. But the issue is here. Gabbard just released 3 weeks ago, anybody can pull this up, that China was doing this with the CIA digitally, as you said, in 2020, and with the mail-in ballots, shipping them filled out for Biden. And so that is massive. And then now we've got this DOJ investigation. And of course, it's the CIA that goes around the world with the State Department for election integrity. And then it came out that they helped steal the election from Bolsonaro under Biden, and we're advising them how to censor and control. And that's, again, the CIA. Literally the CIA wanting to put communists in because they'll work with them better. Same thing in Venezuela. So we think our government's really against Venezuela. We really think it's against, Lula and communists in Brazil, but they're not, as long as they're clients and work with them. And so this is a massive scandal added to what Gabbard released. And
it goes beyond that, if I may. I think it's not just, you're still thinking the old paradigm. I think that they have a new paradigm, which is that they're just globalists. Now, there's a debate, should the capital...
No, I agree. They parasitically just feed on the people.
They wanted the globalists, some globalists want to make the capital of the globe somewhere in Europe. Some globalists want to make it in Beijing, but they share this globalist vision. And
no, that's where, no, definitely China was part of the globalist order. It split off. It's a competing globalist transhumanist. Oh, absolutely.
What do you make of the fact, like, it looked like they were aligned, then we got through the 2020 election, and within a year or so, Soros was coming out and saying Xi Jinping is the greatest friend of greatest enemy of humanity, blah, blah, blah. And then about a year ago, he reversed, and they're chummy again, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, the biggest thing is, the Chi-Coms agreed to a one-child policy and depopulation. They were to be given all the earth minerals. They would be the industrial power, work with the globalist middlemen to make them have control of the West, leverage us out, but they weren't supposed to expand into the South China Sea. Instead, they've expanded everywhere. It was clear 20 years ago they double-crossed. By 15 years ago, we do the Asia pivot, but they had so infiltrated us that it couldn't be done, even inside the globalist corrupt order. And then just finally enough American elites, just out of survival mode, and Silicon Valley said, no, China's taking over and going to win the AI race. We've got to do this out of self-preservation. So enough elites got behind Trump, not even because they overall agree with America First or what he's doing, but because they knew the Chi-Coms had beaten them. And so this is out of desperation. That's why you see the flip-flopping and the gyrating that's going on.
Okay, the other thing that most people aren't aware of, you got Democrats saying, I can't believe Donald Trump would talk to Putin. I can't believe that Donald Trump would shake hands with Putin. Give me a break. George Bush did it. Biden did it. Trump did it. Obama did it. So get over yourselves. What Trump is trying to do right now, in addition to ending the war and all of the death of Ukrainians, is he's trying to financially, economically peel Russia away from China. America stays dominant by having Russia on our side, Russia's resources on our side. China is infiltrating and dominating almost everywhere. And this is a behind the scenes battle, which is why they're trying to kill our people with fentanyl. They're sending all of these military aged men. They're infiltrating our universities. They've got their own private police within the United States. They are trying to infiltrate us. And China knew that through Biden, they would make inroads like crazy. Trump's now trying to reverse and kick all of that back out.
That all makes sense. That all makes sense. Well, this is all, we even know the name of the CIA asset is a guy named Frank Holder, that made this deal with Venezuela to cheat the 2020 election. And the CIA has been protecting him for 2 years. They've had this, the FBI has had this information. The CIA, there's been U.S. attorneys who wanted to act against them. The CIA has been protecting their asset because they know how explosive this is.
Well, this is dangerous stuff. And it's not just that I know you're credible and believe you. This is everywhere. This just fits in everything we've already seen. So Trump is trying to cut off the Chi-Com influence. They've got enough to indict half the Democrats with the information. And this is just massive. And that's why they put out this bounty on you, because they're so pissed. I remember when the election crashed and they didn't know what to do and all the rest of it. So walk through this again. Okay. Because the funding is all tracked now by DOGE. This is not our opinion that the Open Society Foundation, it's another CIA cutout. Yeah, we pulled the USAID, another CIA cutout. Literally, and as you kept saying, it's true. China, Venezuela, they always use Iran as a go-between, just like Iran-Contra. And then now we confirm it's actually the Soros, Obama, globalist CIA network that was doing this to begin with.
Okay. You guys, this is huge. Stick with me. There's only a few more minutes left on this, but this is incredible. So Patrick Burns, for years, he's been following all this. He's been hiring people around the world to join his network, and then they spill the beans. He's going to tell you in a minute that he was updating General Flynn on all of this. So much is going on behind the scenes, but now they've got the paper trail. They've got the USAID data to be able to show all this. And like they said, this stuff is just now starting to be presented to President Trump and to Tulsi Gabbard. I think big things are coming in the future.
Exactly. So they set up, there's this Arlington, Virginia NGO whose mission is to, and isn't this funny? They call it modernizing elections. They go to third world countries. Let's help you modernize your elections. We're going to install these wonderful.
And Obama called it before he left, we're going to secure the elections, was to put the fraud in.
Yeah, it's all a big joke. They know
we're going to protect it from the Russians, and then they actually put all their back doors in.
Yeah, exactly. And the Russians have access. We have access. I think anyway. And this is not speculation. The data we got from the DOGE files, they had not put this together. We had a researcher, a wonderful fellow, put all.
So you use raw DOGE research.
We used raw research. We did this. We did it, and it's this Arlington, Virginia. And SEPS has spread this stuff through these 72 nations have had their well, I'll get back to that. We have paid for it to go into 26 nations, and every one of those nations then had left lurching elections. What's interesting is, so I've spent 2.5 years overseas recruiting a bunch of people in the election industry from around the world who've been part of these crimes. And I learned, and at one point I had them together last August, actually, in a safe house in Europe. And about 6 of them were sitting, and I had General Flynn came over to meet them. And he said, and I said, now remember, General, we can't go be angry. You're going to get real angry, but I said, of course. He sat for an hour and a half, and he's got, besides being General Flynn, he's got 2.
And he's talked about this, yeah.
Yeah. He interviewed them for an hour and a half, and when he was done, he was satisfied. We were about to leave. And I said to the one engineer, would you mind explaining to the General how much this has been going on? And the fellow kind of gulped and looked General Flynn in the eye and said, sir, we've been manipulating elections for 20 years in 72 nations.
And these engineers, why are they scared enough to do the right thing now? What changed?
They're from different nations. I asked them that. It's not for money. I've gone through $80 million, frankly, to get this done. I asked them that, and they give answers like, we see that the world, 2 years ago, one of them gave me this answer. We see the world is sliding off the edge. There is maybe one country that can save it, the United States. And
that's what Elon said.
He said, Patrick, if I could vote for Donald Trump, I would. This is a guy who's been part of this for years, and he wants to vote. He says Donald Trump is the only guy who can keep.
Well, that's what I said 10 minutes ago. The globalist thing is so out of control. Even people that were part of it, out of self-preservation, say we got to stabilize this.
Yeah, I think it got too out of control, and I think that they thought they were going to be carving up the corpse of the U.S. after the 2020. They thought it was over. They were high-fiving, but we got off the floor. And it's another thing Flynn taught me. All the institutions were captured. We had lost. The only thing they had not captured was the American people. And so that's why Flynn and I spent those first couple of years, General Flynn, building this Reawaken America tour, building the grassroots. It was the only thing that the elites had not captured. And I think he's the only reason we actually got to.
I remember meeting with him right after they stole the election 2020 in Florida. And he said, we're going to go to, thousands of towns. We're going to full power ahead. And it's just been a lot of work. He
is the professor emeritus of movement warfare, it's called in the military, but of how to build movements and how to get movements on track.
Force multiplication.
And it's basically like the Lawrence of Arabia. You're uniting the tribes. You're uniting the tribes. We went around and found every group of moms who were pissed off about LGBTQ ideology, of constitutional sheriffs, of people mad about the way their elections were running, people mad about the border. And we sort of helped all this get off the ground, and Flynn shaped it into this movement.
Absolutely. That's why he didn't join the administration. He can do more on the outside, but he is all over the place, like, Gandalf or something. But so expanding on this, big picture. I've talked to people in the DOJ. I know you have even more sources than I do. They say, no, we're going for it. J.D. Vance came out yesterday and said, no, there's a bunch of indictments of the Obama coup crew. It's coming. We have to do it. I mean, this is not 8 years ago where, Trump had people that were scared or were operatives. Now they know they have to. You don't have the vice president saying, no, the indictments are coming unless it is. In my view, that doesn't mean that it's going to happen, but they're definitely trying. Disagree with me because I haven't talked about this. What is the word about the seditious conspiracy, treason task force, and then the other government weaponization task force? And now finally, all these grand juries have been set up, not just referrals, but now we actually have, real stuff going on, real grand juries and panels. What are you hearing?
Well, first, let me be clear. I'm not secretly part of this administration. They keep me a country mile distant. No one knows what to make of me. I know a lot of people, though, who are in touch. And so I kind of know what's going on. And I can tell you that actually Trump tried to get to this back in March, and he signed the right orders, and the deep state has thwarted him for like 2 months of making any progress. Finally, he got Tulsi involved, and Pam Bondi let herself be thwarted. Tulsi took it, and I don't know that for a fact, but Tulsi took it. She's run the ball down the field. She's fantastic, and they have everything now. And
she made the criminal referral, and now it's.
And I hear Trump's, as you said earlier, like your head popped off. I hear he's really angry. He now knows. 100% he was cheated out of the greatest prize in history 4 years ago. And I hear he's really done messing around.
Right. Remember, I told you guys in the broadcasts in the last week that Trump is furious. He ordered all of this stuff to be released, and then the CIA, they were doing everything they could to block it. Right at that time, Kash Patel finds these burn bags, and DNI Tulsi Gabbard said, we're not waiting around for redaction. And she goes public, and nobody knew she was going to go public. She caught them off guard and then immediately made a criminal referral. So much is going on that you and I are not seeing, and I'm trying to bring you guys the truth on what I'm hearing and reading. So anyway, I hope you guys are finding this valuable. Let's keep going.
Well, that's what, and I mean, Vance, I know Vance, and people, he's a very serious guy, a very smart person, and very measured, but he doesn't go on Fox News and say, no, a bunch of people are getting indicted as happening. And so
I think the only thing to do is to replace the top 3,000 people in the government with ex-military from SOCOM or the Marines. You got to start with people you can trust. And there's a whole layer.
All the lawyers, the politicos, they're just all soft scum.
The first rule is you got to get the right people in place. And the only people you can trust at this point are ex-SOCOM or Marines, I think.
This is what they did down in El Salvador. The president came in. He used the military to capture all of the gangs, 50,000 gang members in a weekend, lock them all up, and then he indicted everybody in the El Salvador government and found who was the good guy and who was the bad guy. And now they have the lowest crime rate in South America. We need to do this here in America.
So Epstein, I've never seen any evidence of Trump and anything to do with that. And then his behavior the last 37 days, creating a Streisand effect. He's not stupid. What the hell's going on there from your sources?
I don't think he's been filmed on Epstein Island. You know, Epstein, about 2 months before he was arrested, tried very hard to get me to come to Epstein Island. Did I ever tell you that one?
No.
I had this plan to go out, and I figured, well, I figured I'll accept it and go out and murder him. And we'll go for a long swim. I like long distance swimming. And I figured I would get him out swimming. I could drown him. And I got in a pool with a guy about my size, and it turns out to be really a lot tougher to drown somebody than you think. And then I found out about the cameras, that there were cameras everywhere. And they said, you're never going to get away with it. So I didn't go murder him. But he tried very hard. And that's because the CIA knew what I had and what I already knew. And they were going to try to blackmail me. So about a month before he got arrested, I had three very strong overtures. People came all the way to Utah to say, gosh, this Jeffrey Epstein, don't believe what you hear about him. He's a wonderful guy. He's got this big trading room. He really wants to meet you, Pat. He really wants you to come out and talk to you. By the way, he's really good friends with Bill Gates. Don't believe what you hear in them. He's tied into all these elites. You got to come see his trading room. He really wants to meet you. And I knew, of course, anyone who reads Zero Hedge, which you probably... Everyone's known about Epstein since 2007. I don't get why now we have all these born-again virgins in society acting surprised by Epstein. Everything about Epstein was known since 2007. It just blew up again.
So why would Trump come out and create a Streisand effect and say he killed himself and don't ask questions, you're dumb? He has to know that would create a giant Streisand effect. Why?
Okay, let me explain what that is, just in case you don't know. The Streisand effect is where you make effort to distract people away from seeing something. And in your effort to do that, you actually magnify the eyeballs on there. He said, this is what Trump has done. No, we don't want to do Jeffrey Epstein. What did that do? It put more eyeballs on the Jeffrey Epstein story.
Well, I don't think he's in the tapes, and his lawyer and all kinds of people who would know have said he's not involved.
Oh, yeah, even Cohen hates him and says he's not.
Yeah, I think
he worked there a decade and said he never heard a call from Epstein.
Maybe there's other people involved, and
that's what I was told by Roger Stone off record. Now he's been public. He told me right when Trump got reelected, he said, you're never getting it because the CIA was involved with your buddies, the Mossad, and they don't want it coming out.
Yeah, that would be my guess.
Yeah.
That would be my guess. But I don't have any inside information on that one.
Well, I just know it is the fiasco of fiascos, and
I wish he had handled that better. He could handle, and was right in the middle of a whole bunch of base hits he was getting. He was having all kinds of nice march of base hits, and then he had that blow up.
Well, clearly they're going after Maduro for all of this, 50 million bounty. And now Trump says they're going to start hitting the cartels. I want to go to break and come back and talk about that with you.
All right. The rest of that, not really worth our time. Okay, I hope you found this valuable. The CIA, George Soros, others, they were using our money to rig elections around the world. They then turned the guns from outside to the inside and started rigging elections for the last 20 years inside of the United States. This gets us Obama. Trump beats it. They can't get Hillary in. They're furious. They do a coup. It doesn't work because Trump has fortitude and courage. They then use the mail-in ballots in China and Iran and Venezuela on the American election of 2020. Then they figure out, wait a minute, everything's captured in America. The FBI, the CIA, NSA, all of it captured. The DOJ, the only thing that's not captured, the American people. So they start doing all this grassroots stuff to make America great again. And Trump wins again. Now, it wouldn't shock me if they let him win, because he wins in a landslide, but then Democrats win on down tickets. I think they said, give it. He will be distracted by other things and will rig the elections down below. Let me know, please, in the comments. What do you think about this? I think it's super interesting. All of the Doge paper trail is starting to lead them. Now we're going to need indictments and arrests, but this stuff is just barely being fed up to the White House, to the FBI and the DOJ. I'll let you guys know as more comes out. But did you see how a lot of the stuff I've been sharing with you, this like pulled so many things together? I'm just really excited about the future, where things will go. As I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, Vladimir Putin privately says to Donald Trump, if you look into the mail-in ballots of 2020, you will find that your election was rigged. He's trying to let them know. So much going on. Clandestine cloak and dagger spy crap going on to not only propel the American empire forward, but to keep it from falling apart internally and ending up in another civil war. All right, let me know in the comments what you guys think. Have a great weekend. I'll be on with an interview later. I love you. Stay amazing, and I will see you on the next video.